Hey, this is Dennis at Sacramento Mustang, and today we're talking power steering conversions. Well, today we're going to look at a power steering conversion that's offered by Borgeson. Up to now, for a 65 to a 1970 Mustang, if you were a manual steer car, in order to go to power steering, you only had a couple options. And the main one was to actually source all the original power steering components, a control valve, ram cylinder, hoses, pump, and all that, and assemble those into your car. Problem is with all that, one is, if you're getting used stuff, it's probably going to have its fair share of leaks. Even the rebuilt power steering control valves and ram cylinder just are kind of prone to leak just due to the nature of how they operate. That whole system racks back and forth as you turn, which actually flexes the hoses, fatigues the hoses, and again, more leaks. The other option, the little more expensive option now, was to go to a rack and pinion conversion. There's a few of those on the market, Flaming River, Total Control, and so forth. They're nice kits, they do improve the feel, however, they're usually a couple $1,000 option to do that. So now, Borgeson has come out with a nice, price-wise, kind of an in-between option. In some ways, actually, it's sometimes even cheaper than doing a factory conversion. This particular kit is a direct bolt-in, and they offer this from 1965 all the way up to 1970. There's a couple options within there. These kits are designed for a manual car to go to power. If you have a power steering car and you're just tired of the leaks in the control valve or it's time to redo it all, they also offer one of these kits that will convert a power to this Saginaw style. The kit itself is basically based off a Saginaw style power steering unit. In other words, what that means is the gearbox itself has all the hydraulics running through it. So you no longer have a control valve, you no longer have a ram cylinder moving. This is a fixed box that bolts right into where your factory gearbox is currently. You notice these hoses are considerably shorter from the ones that you have in your car currently, or again if you have a power steering car, because these don't move. Once you have these affixed to your power steering pump and the box, they are set in place. So you have nothing moving left or right as you steer. The manual to power kits actually do come with a new pump with a bracket. These are designed to fit around V8 applications. If you have a 6-cylinder car, you can retrofit this kit, but you're going to have to source some used components to make it work. Now, on a couple little install notes you probably need to know on a 65 to 66 application. You do have to replace the shaft in the column. They do come with it. It's all bolts together. It's not really that hard, just something you have to do. You use your pre-existing manual center link and tie rods, pitman arm and idle arm, so there's no reason to change all that. They do come with a bracket for the firewall, a cap for the end of your steering column tube. They also have all the hardware and everything you need to do this. One extra piece you will need when converting is you're going to need at least a dual groove lower crank pulley to power this up. So be prepared to buy a couple pulleys to complete this conversion. The 67 is kind of an oddball year. Since 67 there's a couple different column designs, there's a couple different gearbox designs as far as a sector shaft and everything. Those kits are more of a special order. You're probably going to want to give us a heads up or a call to make sure we get the right kit for you. It's actually a combination of an early one and a late one depending on what your car is configured. 68's a little more standard all the way up to 70, so those aren't a big deal. Those kits are very easy and actually easier than this because you don't have to replace the steering column shaft. The collapsible part of the shaft slides out and you just install the new one ready to go. Now, the couple other notes as far as exhaust. Stock manifolds, hypo manifolds haven't been a problem. Some full-length headers can be an issue. Just the bulkiness of them actually comes very close and sometimes hits the gearbox, so they're not really too compatible. I would probably check ahead to see what you have. Some of the shorties will clear. JBAs, for some reason, we've had some issues with those hitting as well. Other issue is manual transmission cars. Now 65 to 66, there's a fix for it. The equalizer bar is actually where the problem is. you can actually change they make a custom equalizer bar that actually has a little different top hook on it to clear these. So that's the fix for that. Now if you have a 67 and later that's manual, they don't have a fix yet for that. So unless you go to something hydraulic, if you're doing like a T5 conversion or what have you, that would be your best option. But as far as the factory equalizer bar, these will not clear it, unfortunately. So let's take a little quick close look at some of these pieces and see what you get in the kit. Alright, so there's the Saginaw pump that you get with the kit. It comes with the pulley cap, mounting bracket already installed. So it's a simple bolt-on to a 289 or 302 application. On the back side you have your return line, pressure line, cap with fill. Other than that, it's a very standard, straightforward pump. Now they do include all the hardware you need to bolt it to the block with spacers, washers. Pretty much this part of the car, this is probably the easiest part of the install, and like we had mentioned earlier, when doing this you do need a dual groove crank and water pump pulley to add to it. Alright, well here's a nice close-up of the Saginaw style gearbox that comes in the kit. Now this is probably the most complicated part of the whole conversion. And not necessarily putting this in, but actually getting your old one out. On the 65 to 66s and early 67s, the shaft that goes up the column is actually one piece with the gearbox. It makes it a little complicated and difficult to get out of the car. But once that's out, this piece here bolts right back into the factory location where your old gearbox was. As you can see right here, it has the same 3-bolt configuration, so it bolts right back to the frame and they supply new hardware for you. The sector shaft is the same exact size as the one that is currently in your car, so your old pitman arm attaches right back to this. In doing that, it's kind of nice because all of your old steering, center link, idler arm, all that stuff stays the same, so there's no need to change any of that. Unless it's worn out, it might be a good time at that point, but that's up to you. The other end of this actually uses a rag joint or steering coupler to connect up to a new shaft that goes up the column. It also, on this end, you're going to see here, this is where the return and the pressure hose connect. Again, this is another really nice feature of this kit. Once this is all installed, nothing is moving back and forth, so you're not going to wear out hoses by flexing them constantly or develop leaks from any kind of torque or anything that's going to be affecting these hoses. This is an adjustment point to tighten or loosen up the box. These are all pre-adjusted and usually do not need to be touched. I would say consult the instructions if you feel like you need to do some final tweaking or fine adjustment work to it. So let's take a little closer look at some of the other components in the kit. Well, here's the hoses that come in the kit. As you can see, pretty basic, pretty simple. Compression fittings at both ends on the pressure hose. On the other side for down at the gearbox. This side on the return actually just clamps to the back of the pump. These are nice quality Gates hoses and should have years of service. Last few components of the kit basically consist of the new replacement shaft. Again, this is 65 to early 67 only. The end piece or end cap for your steering column where it comes through the firewall. This is the rag joint or steering coupler. This is what's going to join this shaft to your gearbox. And then you have this plate here which mounts to your firewall. This is actually what supports your column. Now basically what's going to happen when you take your factory gearbox out, the bottom support for the long shaft columns is now going to be missing. This unit here actually bolts to the firewall and supports your column so it doesn't move around. Pretty nice little addition to the kit. So there you have it. This is the Borgeson power steering conversion kit for your early Mustang. If you have any other questions about this kit or any other application questions, what have you, give us a call at 1-800-442-8333 or just look us up online at sacramento-mustang.com. Thank you.